Hello guys, in this video I'm going to show you how to make use of pool data in KoboToolbox. If you've done a listing and you've gotten all the necessary data that you need from the listing, and you've done a simple random sampling on the data set to get the respondents that will participate in the next or the main survey, you can use pool data to get the information or to reuse the information of the respondents in the main survey. So what did I mean? Let me show you. For example, this is, let's say we have the name of respondent, you have the age of respondent, you have the gender, you have marital status, you have other information that you need from the listing that you've done, and you want to carry out main survey and you want to reuse the information or in the listing in the main survey. Now you can generate an ID or you can use the index number in the listing to get the information of the respondent so that you can reuse this data in the main survey. So if I press 1, it's going to show name of respondent, the age of respondents, gender. You can continue to add other information that you need. Let's say I press 2, it's going to turn to this. If I press 3, it's going to turn to this. So I don't need to write the name of, I don't need to get the name of respondent, I don't need to get the age of respondent, I don't need to get the gender again. What I need to get is probably to just focus on the objective. I can leave this blank and write 556,000. So this will be the income of the respondents. So how are we going to do something like this? Let's get started. The first thing I'm going to do is to click on new and click on build from scratch, and I'm going to call it pool data. I will leave this blank, use order, country, I'm going to use Nigeria, and you will want to create a project by clicking on this button. Now I'm going to click on this button. Let's say this is the data that we have from our listing. I'm going to clear this. Let's say this is the data. You can have more. You can add the education status, you can add whatever to this data. And I don't want to get the name of respondent again. I don't need to get the phone number, I don't need to get the local government, I don't need to get all this information again. I just want to reuse the information and probably obtain the income, the expenditure, let's say I want to get their recommendation. Instead of getting the name, the phone number again, I can just focus more on this. I can focus more on the objective. So imagine this is our sampling. This is random sampling. We've selected all these people to participate in the main survey, and I don't want to ask the respondents I don't want to ask their name, I don't want to ask the phone number, the local government, or whatever information that we have here. So in order to reuse this, what I need to do is to generate an identity number for these respondents. How am I going to do that? I can come to column 1 and insert, then I can call this key. You can use the index number from KoboToolbox, or you can use whatever to stand as the identity number for each of the respondents. So I'm going to use equal random. So I can use random between, let's say I have 1 to 1000. If my data is up to 1000, I can use and concatenate underscore ID and close this. Then I'll double tap this to fill this up. So what I need to do now is to copy it and paste it as number. Now let's say this is the ID, this is the name, the phone number, the local government, and the state, the position, down to the marital status. I want to reuse all this information in the next survey. So all these people have been selected to participate in the main survey. Now let's go to KoboToolbox. What I need to do is to first of all say the key. Let's say, or I use ID of respondents. ID of respondents. I can click on this and use I'm going to use test. Let me use test. For this, I want to get the name of respondents. So I can click on this and click on test. I will also want to get the phone number of the respondents. I will also want to get the local government. So I can say local government. So I can also use test. I also want to get the states of respondents. We want to use test. The position in the household. I'm going to use test. For the age, I'm also going to use test. You can use, if you don't mind, you can use number, but I'm going to use test. For the gender, so I'm going to say gender of respondents. You can click on this. I'm going to use test. And the last one is marital status. So I can also use test. And I don't want to get all this information again. So I can now focus on the objective. Let's say I just want to get, now that I'm doing the main survey, I just want to get the income of respondents. So I just want to get the income of respondents. I can use number. I also want to get the expenditure of respondents, or I want to get whatever information that is important to the survey. Now I'm going to save this. After saving this, I'm going to return to list by clicking on this. Then I'm going to download the form to Excel. So I'm going to click on this and download it. So let me name it pool data. So I'm going to name it pool data and I'm going to download it. Now I'm going to open the form. Then I'll click on enable editing in order to edit this form. So this is what we have in the previous listing. This is what we have in the listing. So I want to reuse all this information in the main survey. Now I will go back to this data. I'll go back to this Excel. I'll put a column in between this. And I'm going to call it read_only. So I want to use read only so that I won't be able to fill up this data. So it's going to be a read only for the respondents. So when I enter so you can see I can fill up data here, but I don't want to do that since I want to reuse the information from the listing. Instead of filling this up, I can use read only. So now after using the read only in the column, I'm going to, let me expand this to 13 all, so I can use 13.5. Now what I need to do is to come down to this, right? In this calculation, under the calculation or in the read only, I'm going to use the name to be true. I'm going to use read only to be true here, down to the marital status. So this is going to be read only from the name of the respondent down to marital status. Now if I want to pull data into the name of respondent, since I have the name here, I have the name of the respondent here, so how am I going to do it? What I need to do is to come to this calculation, under the calculation, and I'm going to say pull data, open brackets, apostrophe, the name of this form of this CSV. So I'm going to save this as CSV and the name of the CSV. So the name of the CSV is getData.csv. So you can also do this by coming down to the KoboToolbox, coming down to settings, then go to media and export the data. You can import the data. So I'm going to click on this and import the get data. So I'm going to import the data to KoboToolbox. So it's loading. Now this is the name of the data, get data. So I can copy this. I'll come down to the exe and paste it in between. Then I will remove the .csv and close it. Now I have the name. The next thing that I need is the name of the respondent. So I need the name of the respondent from the CSV. So the name is here. So I'm going to copy the column here. The way it is, that's what I'm going to use. So I'll copy this name, go back to this, and use apostrophe and paste it in between. Then I will use comma to separate it. Then the next thing that I'm going to copy after this, I've gotten the name of the CSV, I've gotten the name. Now, what I need is the key ID. So I'm going to use apostrophe, go back again, the key. I'm going to copy the key, go back, and paste it in between. Then I'll close the apostrophe, right? Then I will use comma, then use $, open curly bracket, the ID. So I'm going to copy the ID. So I'm going to copy this, and so I can use this. Let me just rename this as ID in order to make it simple. You rename the name as ID. So I'm going to copy this in between this and use ID. Then close the curly brackets and close the open brackets. So this is what I'm going to use. So I'm calling the name of the CSV, which is this, and I've imported the CSV into the form. You can see it here, getData.csv. So I'm going to call the name. I'm going to call the name of the respondent, which means that I want the name of the respondent to appear under this, the name of the respondent, comma, then the unique key of the respondent. So we've generated this key. So I'm going to use the key here, and I'm going to use the ID here. So now I'm going to drag this down to this. Then what I need to do is just to change all this information. So here I want the phone number of respondents, and I have get data under, I have get data, so I can change this to phone. I can change this to phone, since what I have here is phone in the CSV. So I'm going to change this to phone. You can see, then key and ID. The next one is to change this to local. So I want the local government to be here. So I'm going to come here and clean this up. So I'm going to clean this and name it local. The next one is the states. So the states, you can see I have states. So I'm going to use this exactly the way it is here. So I'm going to clean this name. So I'm going to clean this and use states. The next one, I have position. So I'm going to come down to this, clean it up, and use position. The next one is age. So I want the age to appear here. So I'm going to clean this up and use age. So the next one is gender. So I'm going to come to this place, gender. I'm going to clean this up, gender. And the last one is marital status. So I can just, instead of using this, so we can make this single by just cleaning. I'm going to clean one out of this so that this will be just a single word. So let me just clean this status and use Marita. So I'm going to save it. After saving it, I'm going to come to this place and use Marita. No, this is the last one that I need to use Marita. Now what I need to do again is, since I've changed the column name, I need to upload it again. So I'm going to go back again, delete this. So I'm going to delete this, upload it again. I'm going to upload the CSV again into the form. Now I have, you can see this is just, they are in single word. You can see key, name, phone, local government, local state, position, age, gender, and Marita. This is perfect, right? So let me go to the form. You can see this is perfect. So what I need to enter is just this information, the income and the expenditure. So I don't need to re-enter the name of respondent, the phone number, down to Marita status. So I already have all these from the listing. So what I need to do is to save this. Then I will upload this back to KoboToolbox. So what I need to do is to go to the form. Now let me go to the form, pull data, right? And I'm going to click on replace form to replace the form. So I'll save this pull data here, and it's going to upload to KoboToolbox. Now let me recap. So what I did here is to use the information from the listing or from the previous data, since we want to reuse this information. So we already have the name down to the Marita status, so you can generate key. After generating key for each individual of the respondents, what you need to do is to create the form in KoboToolbox. After creating the form in KoboToolbox, download the form to XLS, then use this pull data to call the information from the previous data or from the CSV. You can see pull data, get data. Get data is the name of the CSV. So then you use comma, then what you want to call into the role. So under the name of respondent, I want to call the name. Under the phone number, I want to call the phone number. Under the local government, I want to call the local, which is the local government. You can see. So I want to call this information under the question, right? So I'll save this. Then after saving it, I uploaded the form by using this replace form. Then I uploaded the CSV by coming down to settings, then clicking on media and uploading it to the media of the form. Now you have getData.csv. So the next thing for us is to preview the form. So I'm going to click on this preview to preview the form. So the form is perfect, right? You can see all this name of the respondent is in read only, the phone number read only, the local government read only, the state read only. You can see, except for the income that I need to get the expenditure. So I want to reuse all this information. Now we have the ID of respondent. So how are we going to get the ID? Remember that from the CSV we have the ID here under the key. So if I want to call this first one, what I need to do is to copy the ID, the key, and paste it here, then press enter, and all the information will be filled up. You can see courier, the phone number, the local government, state, the head of household, age. You can see this is it, 38, gender, male, marital status, married. You can see all the information. So I can now get the income of the respondent instead of going back again and be trying to get the name of respondent or other information. So you can fill this up, then get the income and the expenditure, and this will also streamline any error from the field, since you know that you are collecting data from, you are using the previous data in order to make sure that the new form is in line with the listing. You can see, so I can go back again to the form and copy this. So I can paste this here, and you can see Akirele John. So I can paste any of these here. So what you need to do is just to probably give the respondent, the enumerator, the ID of each of the respondents, so that when they enter the ID, it automatically is going to fill up all this information. Then what they need to get is just the income, the expenditure, or just to focus on the objective of the survey. So this is how to use pool data to get to input data in KoboToolbox. Thank you.